Hi everyone. So our next topic is stacked autoencoders. So in last video we have seen a simple autoencoder with only input layer and output layer. In the input layer you will be directly transforming your or compressing your data into some lower dimension, and in the output layer you will be directly transforming or decompressing your data from the coding to the corresponding input shape. So stacked autoencoders are once again artificial neural networks, but you have compared to your simple autoencoder, you have hidden layers here. So many layers are stacked one top of another. So that is what stacked autoencoders are. So just to recap, autoencoders are artificial neural networks which are capable of learning dense representation of the input data, which we call latent representation or coding, or a compressed format, and these are unsupervised method. So your data is unlabeled. The idea of the coding is you will be having very less dimensionality, very lower dimensionality compared to original input data input dimension. So this can be used for dimensionality reduction, that is one usage. They can act as feature detectors also. So if you look at a particular if you look at coding for a particular coding at a particular layer, you can very well see that it may be representing, it is going to represent you a set of features which are highlighted at that particular layer. Another advantage of autoencoders are some autoencoders are capable of randomly generating data also. Randomly generating means they are called generative models. We will look at a generative model in the next video, what we call variational autoencoders. So autoencoders are basically can be used for dimensionality reduction. It can be used for used as a feature detector, but we may not be able to specify what are the features, etc. But these are the prominent features like that you can detect, and you can generate synthetic data also using autoencoders, like which maybe the generated data will look like original input data. So stacked autoencoders can be basically divided into two types. One is dense autoencoders and the second one is convolutional autoencoders. The picture shows the dense autoencoder. So you have input layer, then output layer. So this is your input layer, this is the output layer. So in the input layer you have dense connections, fully connected network. It's a fully connected network. So dense autoencoders are a fully connected layer. So you have input layer, output layer, and a set of hidden layers stacked. It's like multi-layer perceptrons. The basic idea is that you will have same number of neurons at the input layer and the output layer. So it will be a sine clock structure. In the middle you have a bottleneck which is representing the actual most compressed coding representation will be available at this layer, or the most compressed coding will be available at the innermost layer, which is innermost hidden layer. So dense autoencoders are a fully connected neural network like multi-layer perceptron. Here the hidden layers are stacked one top of another, sine clock structure we usually say. So the same number of the difference between a multi-layer perceptron and autoencoders is that this property should be there, that is the input layer and the output layer should have the same number of neurons. Then only you should be able to say that the same dimension will be recovered back at the output layer. Autoencoders have multiple hidden layers. That's what we call stacked autoencoders or deep autoencoders. The advantage of adding more layers in between or stacking of this layer actually helps the autoencoders to learn complex codings. So as I've told, in the middle hidden layer you will have the best coding representation. But if you keep on adding so many hidden layers, that is not going to help you. Be careful not to make an autoencoder too powerful, so that for your input data it will be learning the most possible compressed uh, representation in the middle layer, and it will be recovering your data very perfectly, but it may not be a generalized system, so that this is going to work very best for your training data, and for your testing data this is going to perform worst. That is what I mean by not to make the autoencoder too powerful. For your training data, the autoencoder is going to learn the most best possible coding scheme, and for your testing data, this is going to fail for representing the data in a better way. Or while testing your data, you may not be getting that result compared to the training data. So adding more hidden layers actually helps the autoencoder to learn complex codings, but there is a limitation. So this is the architecture of stacked autoencoder. It's typically symmetric with respect to the central hidden layer. So let's say you are trying to convert your 784 units of data to 30 units for this coding what you want to make. So in the input layer you have 784 units, and in the first hidden layer you have 100 units, then you have 30 units in the second hidden layer. So this sort of a symmetrical structure will be there for your stacked autoencoder. In the third hidden layer, stacked third hidden layer, you have 100 units, and in the reconstruction stage you have 784 units. So this is your input layer, this is your output layer. At the output layer you have the reconstructed data, and in the most central hidden layer you are going to get the coding. The second type of stacked autoencoders are convolutional autoencoders. These are basically used for image data. Convolutional neural networks are best suited in compared to dense networks for image data. So this is an encoder. The encoder is a regular CNN, convolutional neural network, composed of convolution layers and pooling layers. So I think you know convolutional neural networks. So convolutional neural as we have seen, autoencoder has two parts, encoding part and a decoding part. So the encoder is a regular convolutional neural network here, with many convolution layers and pooling layers. Then if you give an image to the input at the input layer of a CNN, then you are going to reduce the dimensionality of that image. The height and width of the image will be reduced, but the depth will be increased. The decoder should do the reverse process, that is by using transpose convolutional operation, convolution transpose and upscaling the image by doing convolution transpose, upscaling the image, and the depth need to be reduced. Next we will see an example for dense autoencoder. We are going to construct a dense autoencoder which reduces the 784 pixels in MNIST image to 30 pixels. So MNIST images are 28 into 28 pixels, a total of 784 pixels. We try to compress the image into 30 pixels, and from this 30 pixels, this 30 pixels actually represents a representation of a robust features based on the original 784 pixels, and we'll try to recover or reconstruct the image. And in the next stage we'll see an example of convolutional autoencoders with the same MNIST image dataset also. So this is the example for dense autoencoder. These are normal import statements which we see, random seed, then matplotlib, we import TensorFlow and Keras. These are subsidiary functions for plotting an image, for showing the image in the reconstructed stage. Number of test images will be 5. Then rounded accuracy, etc. First we'll obtain xtrain, ytrain, xtest and ytest from keras.datasets.mnist.load-data. So from Keras you directly obtain xtrain, ytrain, xtest and ytest. You standardize xtrain and xtest by dividing it with 255. Standardize the data. Then you have two parts, one stacked encoder part and the second part you have a stacked decoder part. As we have seen in the slide, you have 784 pixels at the input layer, 100 units at the hidden, then 30 units at hidden too. So that's what it is shown here. The flattened layer contains 28 into 28, 784, then 100 units with activation rectified linear unit, then 30 units, and this is your innermost hidden layer. So that is your encoding part. Then in the decoding part you have 100 layers, activation review. The input to that is 30, the 30 dimension. Then you have a dense layer with 28 into 28, and you reshape it to this 28 into 28 by 28. So this is 784 dimension, 1 dimension. This is 2 dimension, 28 into 28. Now you create a sequential model with encoder followed by decoder. So once if you do that, what you have is this particular structure. Input layer, hidden 1 is 100, hidden 2 is 30, hidden 3 is 100, hidden 4 is 784. You see the summary of your this. You have one sequential unit, that is your encoder, output shape is 30. You have the second, this is your encoding stage, this is your decoding stage. You give a 28 into 28 image here, you get a 30 shape, output shape is 30. That compressed data you will get. Input as 30, you will get a decompressed 28 into 28 image. Now you compile your stacked autoencoder with binary cross entropy as loss and optimizer equal to Adam. And you fit your autoencoder with your xtrain and validation split is equal to 0.1. From this itself you split 0.1. Number of epochs is 10. Then once you complete the epochs, you just see the reconstruction, show reconstruction, the reconstructed images. This is your original image and this is the reconstructed image. In the reconstruction, it was asked to print some 5 images. Here, this is the code for reconstruction. Show reconstruction. You take the model, and using that model, you show some 5 test images. First 5 test images. This is your original image. This is your reconstructed image. Original image, reconstructed image, and so on. So looking at this, it is clear that it's giving some better accuracy. So that's about dense autoencoder. Next we will see convolutional autoencoder. It's an example for convolutional autoencoders. The convolutional autoencoder also the initial things are same. We are doing this operation on the same data set. So we use the same functions, plot image, show reconstruction, etc. We load the same data set, MNIST data set. The main difference is here. You have a convolutional encoder and a convolutional decoder. The convolutional encoder is a convolutional pooling layer. So you have an input 28 into 28 into 1. The image is grayscale. So 28 into 28 image. Then the first convolution layer has a filter size of 16 with kernel size equal to 3 into 3. So the second convolution layer has 32 filter size. Third convolution layer has 64 filter size. Padding is same. So this is actually a simple convolutional neural network. You give an input image here, you will get a corresponding convolution and pooling, 3 convolution and pooling layers. Then in the decoding stage, what you need is convolution transpose layers with the same the input shape is 3 into 3 into 64 and the output should be 32 here, and the output of the second layer should be 16. Output of the third layer should be 1, means that it's a 28 into 28 data. So you need to reshape it into here you will get 784 values, and that 784 values should be reshaped as 28 into 28. Then you create with this two encoder and decoder, you create a sequential model as convolution encoder as the first, and in the second and in the next step you have convolution decoder. So this is what you're going to get. You have one layer with the code, and the code will be given as an input and the output will be same as the image. Once you compile and fit your data, this is what you're going to get. See, this is your original image and this is the reconstructed image. So for image data from the previous example and this example, you can very well see that for image data, convolutional autoencoder is giving you better performance. So that's all regarding stacked autoencoders. Thank you.